A horrifying murder of a young ballroom dance champion. Who took the girl's life with such cruelty? Don't miss out. The psychics will expose the murderer. You are watching Psychic Investigations. There are exclusively true and astonishing stories here. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate high-profile criminal cases and shocking mystical anomalies. Olena Lyubota contacted the psychics with a plea for help. Her only daughter, Marina, enrolled in university to study economics. Starting her second year, she lived in this apartment, inherited from her grandmother. It seemed her whole life was ahead of her. But 6 months later, Marina was murdered. The poor mother still doesn't know who took the life of her 19-year-old daughter and why.
I always light this candle when I come here.
Since she was 6, Marina had been doing ballroom dancing with a local group. This was her first performance.
She was so tiny, like a doll in that ballroom dress. All her friends live. But she's gone.
At 14, Marina became the Ukrainian champion in ballroom dancing.
She brought home 2 certificates, first and second place.
However, she had to quit dancing. It required money to pursue it professionally, and the family didn't have it. Her mother works as a mason, and her father is a railway engineer. To help her parents, Marina always worked during school breaks. The most terrifying thing is that ever since she went to study, her mother almost nightly had the same horrifying dream.
I saw her in a wedding dress lying in a coffin. I had this vision several times. And later, I witnessed it awake.
The nightmare became reality. It was the first week of the school year. It was September 6th, Tuesday. Third-year student Marina Lyubota went to her friend's birthday party.
She was preparing for the birthday, and when she came home, we went to buy the gift together. She called me, but I was on the bus and couldn't talk to her. She said, "Mom, don't call me. I'll send you texts and call you to tell you how things are."
Later, Marina texted her mom to tell her she was going to the club with her friends. At night, she sent her a text saying everything was fine and she was going to sleep.
When I got the text, I was reassured. I was going to call her in the morning, but then I thought that I should let her sleep since she didn't have her first class. But around 4 a.m., she sent me a text saying she was already home, and at 6 a.m., she was found dead in the nearby park.
To the left of this tree on September 7th at around 6:45 a.m., Marina's body was discovered. She was lying head toward that direction, face down, legs toward the tree.
Marina's body, showing signs of violent death, was found 100 meters from the building where she lived.
The victim had her lower jaw broken, 2 teeth knocked out, and lips split. Her head had multiple external and internal hematomas, as well as abrasions and bruises. The cause of death was a traumatic brain injury, specifically a fracture of the skull base bones, which led to irreversible brain damage.
The strangest thing is that neither Marina's body nor her belongings bore any stranger's fingerprints.
We only found Marina's fingerprints.
The investigators checked over 500 suspects to find at least some clue that could help identify the perpetrator. They even turned to the psychics.
At this point, all possible versions have been checked. However, the perpetrator has not been identified. So perhaps the psychics can help or guide us or suggest where else to look to identify the criminals.
Clairvoyants Ilona Kaldre and Olena Kurilova take on the investigation of this case.
I really hope new facts will emerge that will lead to solving the murder.
Marina's mother is waiting for the psychics not far from the place where Marina spent the last 6 months of her life.
Thank you so much for responding to my grief and coming.
We will do our best to help you.
The psychics follow Marina's mother to the 5th floor. Everything in this apartment remains as it was during Marina's life.
She's offering me a cup of water. She's very hospitable.
She brought this tea set from home. She used to host tea parties here with her friends.
Hello? You're connected to the family. Maybe a friend? You've known the girl well since she was little. Since she was born.
Yes.
This is Olga, Marina's godmother. She's still deeply grieving the tragic death of her goddaughter. She came here today to find out who took the girl's life and why.
It's so unbearably hard.
I tried to tune into the event that happened a few hours before Marina's death. She was in the company of girls. I see her in a beautiful dress.
In this photo, Marina is delighted with her new dress. She wore it on the night of her death. By a mystical coincidence, shortly before her death, Marina took a photo in her new dress in the same park near her home. 2 weeks later, her lifeless body was found there.
But she's surrounded by people.
I definitely sense female voices.
On the 6th, she went to her friend's birthday party.
The girls celebrated the event in a group of 4.
Her friends behave very suspiciously. They've never wanted to meet or talk to me.
But what does all this mean? Why haven't Marina's friends, who spent the last night of her life with her, met with her mother even once after her death? Could they know something?
As it turned out, the celebration started at the home of the birthday girl, Yulia, in the presence of her parents.
They came to my place around 5 p.m., if I'm not mistaken.
Here, Marina celebrated the birthday with her friends, after which they went to a cafe.
Marina's friends who were with her that night were her classmates. They said that after the disco, they walked home. Katya lived on the other side of the city, so she stayed overnight at Yulia's, while Marina and Olena went home together.
They walked home. It was about 4.5 kilometers.
For 30 or 40 minutes, the friends walked together until they parted ways near the park. Marina's friend says she doesn't know what happened to her after that.
All the girls who were with Marina on the last evening of her life were checked for involvement in her murder.
After we checked their alibis, we found they weren't involved in the murder.
I hear screaming. It's muffled, suppressed.
As it turned out, on the night Marina died, a local resident heard a female scream in the middle of the night. The man lives right next to the park.
We found that a resident of one of the nearby buildings was awake that night. He was surfing the internet, and around 3:40 to 3:50 a.m., he heard a female scream and several dull blows. However, looking out of the window, he only saw darkness. He didn't give it much thought and continued browsing the internet.
I see an image. It's either very early morning or very late evening.
I sense a dog breathing on her.
Around 7 a.m., a local resident walking her dog discovered Marina Lyubota's body in the city park.
A very striking girl in appearance.
Her legs are exposed. She's face down. Rape. But her clothes aren't torn and her things are intact.
According to the woman who found Marina's body, her dress was pulled up. This led the investigators to consider the version that the perpetrator raped her before murdering.
One version is that the victim was murdered by someone driven by sexual attraction.
However, the forensics claim that Marina Lyubota was not raped.
I can't work like this. I need to see the site. I need to understand what happened there.
And I'll go to the cemetery. I need to talk to her.
Olena Kurilova and Marina's mother head to Marina's grave. Meanwhile, her godmother and Ilona Kaldra go to the park where her body was found.
The body was around here. She was lying somewhere here.
Yes,
What kind of eyes could be here? Could there be CCTV in the park? No?
no.
I keep sensing some eyes. Could the guard be connected to what happened here?
That's probably the guard coming.
Tell me, if you hear a strange noise, a fight or something at night, would you go there?
I don't want to talk.
We found that this man was on duty from September 6th to 7th, the night Marina Ljubota was murdered in this park. He claims he didn't hear any suspicious sounds.
We can't cover the entire park, you see. I could be at one end while the murder could happen at the other.
The park spans over 10 hectares. The guard station is located almost in the middle. The building is equipped with an emergency button. However, even if the guard had somehow heard the girl scream in the middle of the night, he still wouldn't have been able to call the police because, for some reason, the device malfunctioned that night.
There are too many ifs in this story. If the guard had heard, if the people who heard or saw something had responded for help, if the emergency button had worked, if the girl would be alive.
This incredible coincidence became fatal for Marina. But who and why murdered the 19-year-old university student so cruelly?
He's like a beast. He wants to pounce on her. But I can't understand his true motives. Marina's jewelry, where is it? The first thing that I see is her earrings. They're not gold, just the metal is yellow. The ring is definitely gold.
The victim's gold items were missing: a gold ring and a gold chain. Also, her earrings not gold though. They were costume jewelry, but they were also missing.
But the police immediately said it wasn't a robbery because it didn't look like one. She had 2 phones in her bag and money in her wallet. But nothing was taken. She had quite a sum with her.
The police detectives claim it doesn't look like a typical robbery, as only Marina's gold chain and ring were missing, while other valuables in her bag remained untouched.
The victim's personal belongings were found at the scene, including 2 phones and cash.
But if Marina wasn't raped or robbed, then what was the motive for this horrific murder? Meanwhile, Olena Kurilova heads to the cemetery to find out who and why killed her.
I sense a man. She had a boyfriend. Who is Artur or Artem?
Artur was her boyfriend. They dated for a year and a half.
I see them chat. I see words. Love messages.
They met online.
He studied.
They studied together.
As we found out, 2 years before her death, Marina met a young man named Artur on social media. It turned out he studied at the same university as her. They started a romantic relationship.
Marina sent me a friend request, and we started chatting. First, it was a mere interest, and then we began dating.
There was a breakup.
Yes, they broke up. Something happened, but she didn't tell me.
I now see her last moments. An attack and blows. The blows keep landing. And then that's it. She chokes on blood.
Her whole face was bloodied.
Could it really be Artur who murdered Marina?
They broke up. He initiated it.
He led it to the point where they broke up.
It became clear that continuing our relationship would burden both of us. So I suggested we part ways quietly and peacefully. So yes, I initiated the breakup.
Does this mean there was no conflict between the young people and Artur had no reason to kill Marina?
We verified Marina Lubota's ex-boyfriend Artur for a possible involvement in her murder and found no evidence of his guilt.
There's a spot, a very informative spot.
Where is the psychic going? What did she sense?
One second. He came from over there.
From the park, right?
Yes. He hit her here. He got into some kind of frenzy. Yes, she collapsed, and he took her and went that way.
The attacker assaulted Marina at the exact spot where the clairvoyant is now standing.
There was a large pool of blood here, about 1.5 meters from the garage. This appears to be the attack site. There are merely 20 meters from here to the building where Marina lived. And from here, from the pool of blood, a trail of footprints led to the park.
Let me call Elena. Everything is getting so mixed up.
Ilona, we're heading for you.
Half an hour later, Olena Kurilova is at the scene of the tragedy. The clairvoyants continue their investigation.
A man comes out from here cutting across, like this, from this alleyway. There should be traces here. I don't know if he cleaned cigarette butts later, but he stood here, smoking.
Maxim Sapozhnikov, the investigator who has been working on Marina Lyubota's case for a long time, joins the psychics.
I have a strong feeling that the murderer wasn't just here that night. I see other victims too.
Who do you see?
A guy, a young man.
And I see a girl. A young woman. She's a bit taller and sturdier.
No, it's not a girl. It's a guy.
Could you describe him, Ilona?
Well, he's around 30 years old. Olena, he's drunk. It's so strange. I see him being turned and he's giving something away.
An hour before the attack on Marina, a robbery occurred in the same area involving a local resident. An unidentified perpetrator asked the victim for a cigarette, struck him on the head, took his phone, and fled.
However, both of Marina's phones were not taken. They were in her bag.
I see a girl. She's walking from here into these courtyards. Apparently, she lives here. Nothing was taken from her. He approaches her without a word and punches her. She turns and breaks free.
Half an hour before the estimated time of the attack on Marina Lyubota, another attack occurred in the same area on a local woman. She, like Marina, was returning home from a birthday party. The perpetrator blinded her with a flashlight and punched her in the head. However, since she practiced martial arts, she managed to block the blow and escape. The attacker's identity remains unknown.
Do you believe the attack you're describing here was committed by the same person who attacked Marina?
It's the same person.
He's an ex-convict. He'd been in prison before he started wandering here. I think it had been less than a month since he was released.
He served time, but not for murder, you see. He beat people. He fought. He attacked women and stole. Robberies. Smashing kiosks and pavilions. A kind of savagery driven by hunger, poverty, and anger.
It's quite possible that after being released, the perpetrator had no means of subsistence, and so he decided to obtain them through robbery. Most likely he knew the city and chose the area where Marina Lyubota lived, because it was a residential area with poorly lit courtyards.
I saw an image of Marina herself giving him something and saying, "Take it, please, but leave me alone."
It was gold. He didn't sell it, though, but exchanged it for
drugs or alcohol.
at some place like a den where they sell such things. That's where the gold ended up.
But why did he take the phone in one case but not in Marina's?
Because he killed her. He wasn't going to do it. He didn't take anything because he was scared when he realized that she died. After the first blow, she didn't resist, didn't run, and didn't scream. She just went limp and collapsed. I see him trying to hide. He moves her to another place to temporarily cover up his crime.
And the bag is dangling around her neck.
He didn't touch the bag.
He was scared. He thought he didn't want to be connected to this. He didn't take the bag or phone not to leave his fingerprints. He didn't even touch or look at them.
Most probably, Marina was killed with particular cruelty because his previous victim escaped, and the stolen phone likely wasn't of much value. The perpetrator, possessing great physical strength, simply miscalculated the blow. When he realized this, he decided to cover his tracks and moved the body to the park, where he attempted to stage a rape. That's why he didn't take the victim's wallet, cards, or phone.
What is the man doing now?
The woman he lives with looks very antisocial. She's young but looks older than her years. She has serious dental problems.
A house, possibly in the countryside.
He prefers a very sporty style of clothing, but rather baggy.
We will verify the information received. Perhaps it will help us find the perpetrator and bring him to justice.
Thank you. God bless you.
The body of a young mother was found on the railway track. The police insist it was an accident. But shortly before her death, the terrified young woman called her parents, pleading for them to come and take her from the station. Who was chasing the poor soul? Don't miss out. The victim's ghost will reveal the whole truth to the psychics. In the autumn of 2015, an awful tragedy occurred in a small Ukrainian village. Albina Zelenska, an 18-year-old student, was hit by a train in mysterious circumstances.
I just remember seeing her face and her legs separately. Oh my God, how much pain she must have been in.
It was some cruel fate. The young woman died on her daughter's birthday.
That day, she called us, and we laughed a lot. We had no idea such a tragedy would happen.
That evening, everyone at home was waiting for Albina. Her parents, guests, and her little daughter, Tanya, who was turning 2. The young mom was supposed to arrive any minute, but she never made it home. At 6:20 p.m., Albina was found dead on the tracks near the village's railway station. Her death came as a shock for the family.
Oh God, please tell me it's not true.
Nothing had hinted at the impending tragedy. That morning, as usual, Albina rode her bike to the bus stop by the railway. There she left her bike at her acquaintance's place and took the bus to the nearby town, where she studied at the agricultural school. Around 6 p.m., she returned from school. This is the stop where she got off the bus. She needed to cross the tracks to get to where she'd left her bike.
Everyone crosses the tracks there to get to the other side.
A freight train was standing on the tracks, waiting for the switch to be thrown. After the train moved, the driver didn't even notice it had hit someone. There were no witnesses to the tragedy. The passengers from the last bus that Albina arrived on went in the other direction.
A commuter train was following the locomotive, and its driver discovered the body on the tracks.
According to the forensics, the girl's torso was severed in 2 by the train. Death was instantaneous.
No one could ever think that this would happen. Oh my God.
The investigators concluded that the girl had tried to climb between the train cars. They classified Albina Zelenska's death as an accident.
Albina's parents, Luda and Yaroslav Galkin, don't believe it was an accident. After all, just 15 minutes before the tragedy, their daughter called her mother, her voice filled with fear, saying she was scared.
She said, "Mom, I'm scared. Tell Dad to meet me."
What's more, Albina's family says she was terrified of trains. She would go out of her way to avoid them and would never have stepped onto the tracks, seeing a moving train.
She would say, "I'd rather take a long detour than go near a train."
It was also strange that the girl's body was found on the tracks facing away from her home.
Why was she lying facing away from the house?
It seems that Albina reached the courtyard where her bike was, but for some reason she turned back without it. It's odd that she went down onto the tracks here, 30 meters from where everyone usually crosses.
This means that Albina crossed the railroad tracks twice. First, from the bus stop towards her home, and then, for some reason, back in the opposite direction. Something, or someone, made her turn back.
The investigator kept telling me it was an accident.
The investigators simply chose not to bother themselves with finding explanations for the inconsistencies. When Albina's parents mentioned their daughter being scared, the detective's reaction was strange.
He told me she just felt her death.
As such, the criminal case was closed due to the absence of a crime.
What's most surprising is that, having died under such horrific circumstances, Albina appears in her family's dreams, saying terrifying things.
She told me more than once, "I'm not alone."
Albina's parents want to know what really happened to their daughter on her little girl's birthday.
I really want to reach out to the psychics for help.
Psychics Olena Kurilova and Rubina Cibulska have agreed to help the family. They will work with unique footage. Albina's friends recorded these scenes just hours before her death.
I see a girl with a blindfold on. She's searching for something. I don't understand. Is it a man or a woman removing the blindfold? She's scared. There's someone faceless in front of her.
When I tuned into Albina, I saw a girl in a white dress. She enters a white room and sees some writing in red on the wall. She moves closer, trying to read what it says, but she can't. The letters seem to be dripping down the wall like paint. It's all very ominous.
Olena, someone is standing behind you. Who is it? The connection is lost.
We couldn't reach Olena Kurilova for a long time. An hour later, the psychic called herself.
What happened?
The power went out and I lost my mobile signal. Thank God everything's working again.
I saw a shadow behind you.
I felt a chill run down my spine. And I heard the phrase, "The truth will be revealed when water flows."
The psychics have arrived in the village where Albina lived with her little daughter, parents, 3 younger brothers, and a sister. She divorced her husband last summer. As psychics approach the family home, they're met by the villagers. These people also doubt that Albina's death was an accident.
Everyone is here for justice.
Hello.
Hello. We've been waiting for you.
Look into the mirror. I need to tune in.
Give me your hand. The card. I'm not alone. Then, in the courtyard, I felt the presence of the girl's spirit. She's saying no. No, I didn't do it myself. My kitty. Did she say that to you?
Yes.
Yaroslav, in my mirror, I see you standing on the railway tracks. And at that moment, your daughter's body.
On that horrific evening when Albina called her family in a panic, her father rode his bike to meet her.
I got to where she always left her bike. It was there, but she wasn't.
I stayed home and worried. I kept calling her, but she wasn't answering. That had never happened before.
My son-in-law called me, crying, shouting, "Mom, Albina's gone. The train cut her in half."
The train runs over your daughter's body right in front of your eyes.
The commuter train passed by and another train was coming. I shouted, "Stop!" But no one stopped.
Did the police not allow you to take her away?
While the police were working on the site, Albina's body lay on the tracks, and trains continued to pass by.
Oh God, why didn't you tell me?
I didn't want you to know. Luda! They wouldn't let anyone go near her. They held us back, saying it was dangerous. I was shouting, "Stop the train!" But no one listened.
Yaroslav, you have different energies. A stranger is standing in front of me, claiming to be her father.
I adopted her when she was 4.
So you're her stepfather.
Yes, I am.
Liuda met her first husband, Renat, when she was 17. He was visiting his relatives in their village.
He came from Astrakhan. He's Kazakh by nationality. We started living together, and then Albina was born.
The young family moved to the father's homeland, but he turned out to be a tyrant and raised his hand against his wife. Finally, Luda took her daughter and returned to Ukraine to her parents.
We ran away.
Soon after, Liuda met Yaroslav. He adored her little daughter. Liuda herself couldn't believe such luck. They have been together for almost 15 years now.
She remembers her happy childhood and the love you gave her. Wait a second. Honey bun. Honey bun.
Honey bunny.
Is this her daughter? The girl?
Albina adored her little daughter, Tanya.
She loved her child so much, she'd do anything for her.
2-year-old Tanya doesn't yet understand that she no longer has a mother.
Luda. You're holding her. There's a coffin. And from the coffin, you're handing her over to a man.
Yes, they took Tanya at the funeral.
Is Tanya's biological father Albina's husband?
The ex-husband. They divorced. They took her and left. I thought I was going to lose my mind. She's my blood.
After Albina's death, her ex-husband, 23-year-old Andriy Zelensky, moved their daughter to his home, where he lives with his parents.
Do you have photos of him?
Yes.
I see him standing with a dead person in front of him. We need to see him. Where is he now?
At work.
It turned out that Albina's ex-husband works as a locksmith at a gravel plant. We arranged a meeting with him.
Hello. We're here about Albina.
I saw you standing. It was dark, night. And there was a body at your feet. Did you kill your wife?
No, I fought in the war in the East.
In the war?
Yes.
And was there an explosion or torn bodies? Rubina, that's where your vision comes from.
When we were there, yes, a guy was killed near me. And she felt it. It surprised me a lot. Not many people know about it.
Her love for you. She loved you very much. She married you for love.
Yes.
So why did you divorce?
Well, we had a stupid fight.
What was the reason for the fight?
Could we talk about this privately?
Sure.
Albina met Andriy, who was 5 years older than her, when he returned from the army. They were introduced by friends. Andriy saw the young beauty and immediately fell in love. Soon after, they got married. Tanya was born. They bought a house, paying for it in installments.
Did you have those crazy jealousies?
Yes, I loved her. I loved her madly. The jealousy started when she went to study at the technical school.
Andriy was drafted to serve in the army. It was hard for Albina to be alone with her baby daughter. Her parents and cousin Slava helped her. The young man chopped wood and fetched water from the well. Andriy found out about this.
He started getting jealous of Slava. She said, "But he's my cousin. What are you talking about? They grew up together, and they were always together as kids."
I clearly heard the phrase, "I'll kill you." Do you understand?
Well, maybe somewhere, sometime, something like that slipped out.
Nothing in life is worth killing someone over.
In the summer, Andriy came home on leave, and that's when they divorced.
Until the last day, even until the last day when we were divorcing, we were still together.
You went to divorce together and then you came back together.
That's how it happened.
You loved her, damn it. You know, I feel like you still love her.
I do.
He thought when he came back from the war, he'd talk to Albina and apologize.
Where were you when it happened?
In the east. When I found out, I went home immediately.
There was someone there. It wasn't Andriy. I'm more than sure it wasn't Andriy.
So who is responsible for the death of 18-year-old Albina Zelenska?
I see her.
The cards keep falling all day.
She just knocks the cards out of my hands, you see? I'm afraid of this person. We needed to look for a man.
Who is this man the clairvoyant is talking about?
Let's go to the place where it all happened. We need to reconstruct the events of that evening.
The psychics and Albina's relatives go to the bus stop, from where Albina walked to the railway tracks.
Here's the stop. She stopped here. She got off.
Off the bus.
Yes.
She wasn't alone. Somewhere here, a man was waiting for Albina. He wasn't very young, about 30 years old. She was afraid of him, and he was somehow involved in her death.
What happened in the last half hour of Albina's life? Why was she scared? Who was she afraid of? And who is the man the clairvoyant sensed?
The eyes. Someone is watching her, fear, panic. She's walking, but she has something in her hands and it's glowing.
Maybe she was shining her phone.
Did she call you?
Yes, she did.
She understood that someone was following her. She said, "I'm scared."
Yes, and then the call cut off.
She's going that way.
She's running. A house, a strange house.
Did she run across the tracks?
There are no trains here. She ran over there.
There's a bicycle on the hill.
Let's go there.
Oh Lord, I told you something was off here. Oh God.
The psychics are following Albina's path. Here is the house where she left her bicycle.
Her hand didn't touch the bike, you see?
Why?
He blocked her way here.
He told her he knew her, but she saw him for the first time.
Yes. Let's go back. I felt he said unpleasant things to her and definitely wanted something from her. It wasn't money, so it wasn't a robbery. I sensed just animal fear. Albina was petrified. She turns around and runs back where there are people. There are no lights, nothing here.
Yaroslav, I told you someone was running after her.
And now down here, here's the path.
She turned from this spot.
Then it started to rain. The truth will come out when water flows.
This is where it happened, neither higher nor lower.
I see Albina's body lying here, and her head is that way.
Oh, my dear baby.
Bring water.
Liuda. She really wasn't alone. He grabbed her, but she broke free and ran. There was already a train here. She could only run under the train from violence, death, or sheer panic. You understand? He made her run here.
It's unbearable to imagine what these people are feeling. Right now, the very train that killed their Albina is passing by.
It's as if her death just flew by, you know.
I had the same vision again that I saw the day before the investigation, when the blindfold was removed from the girl's eyes, and there was fear in her eyes because she saw someone faceless in front of her. It means she hadn't seen his face before.
She didn't see him. Did they happen to communicate online?
They communicated online, and he was extracting all the information from her.
It was as if something fell, but there's nothing there.
You heard it. A card fell. But there's no card.
Because we're talking about him.
She says, it's a man. He's older than I am. He has bad, evil intentions.
Elena, he had already tried to arrange a meeting with her, you understand? But she refused, and he told her, I'll find you anyway. And when she saw him, she knew who it was.
He lives nearby. He knows this area and its surroundings. And again, I saw the white room where the girl was trying to read bloody red letters on the wall. Now I could see her face. It was Albina, and the word was murderer. Her murderer was from the internet. They chatted online, and there was no photo of him, meaning she couldn't recognize him.
Yes. There was someone. She chatted with someone without a profile photo.
We managed to access Albina Zelenska's social media pages. In her direct message box, there's indeed a chat with a stranger who suggests that they meet, and there's no photo on his page.
This may be a coincidence, but we urge the police to pay attention to this striking fact.
Now I understand why Olena's internet connection broke when we were talking via Skype. It was a hint from Albina. I believe the shadow I saw behind Olena then was her spirit. God will punish him, and now we must say farewell to her and let her go, because you've already cried for her enough. You're very good parents.
Thank you.
A series of horrendous crimes shakes up a small town. Who and why is strangling young women? Don't miss out. The victims' ghosts will lead the clairvoyants straight to the murderer's home. In this episode, the psychics embark on an investigation into the murder of Yulia Hlazunova, a young woman. Her 2-year-old son stayed an orphan after his mother was strangled in the downtown.
A young woman's body was discovered in a schoolyard on the 18th of September.
On the eve of the tragedy, Yulia told her common-law husband she was going to spend the night at her mother's, where the little Mikita was staying. However, Yulia never showed up at her mother's home.
The young woman was found dead in a location that is not on the way to her parents' place.
To Victoria, Yulia's mother, the news of her daughter's death was deeply shocking.
I didn't scream. I felt no panic. I simply howled. I miss her so much. It's so hard.
Yulia, like her mother, also married early. She married the young man she'd loved since school. But when she got pregnant, he tried to persuade her to have an abortion. Yulia refused and gave birth to her son, while her husband left the family. Now, the 2-year-old Mikita lives with Victoria and her husband, Kirilo. But who and why took his mom's life so brutally?
The forensic examination revealed that Yulia Hlazunova was murdered at midnight. No traces of sexual assault were found on her body. The motive of the murderer remains unclear.
The project's strongest experts, Kayal Alekbarov and Olena Kurilova, took on the case.
I asked my djinns who'd murdered the woman and had a strange vision. A hand with a little turtle.
Could it be a tattoo?
A wedding ring with a turtle figure. And one more thing. The djinns told me, search for the number 5.
Yesterday, I was working with the woman's photo when I heard her spirit's voice. It was not this woman's voice. She told me, he whose fiery marks are on me leaves his traces on them.
I asked my sacred book where we should search for the murderer. And the book told me, the woman with the double heart has the answer. But who could that woman be? And what does she have to do with the murder? And where do we find her?
This is unbelievable. The picture suddenly falls off the wall.
Is this the photo of the town we're in?
Yes.
Olena, this might be some kind of hint. Could it probably be where the murderer is hiding? Let me take a photo of it just in case.
Half an hour later, the psychics meet Yulia's family and friends.
Good afternoon.
My name is Victoria. This is my husband, Kirill. I would really like you to help find the killer who did this so that he could be punished.
I see her. She's holding a baby in her arms and she says, "Mom, Kitik is now with you."
His name's Mikita, and we call him Kitik.
My book says that some marks were left on Yulia's arms. The bruises on her arms were left by the man she loved.
Victor.
The young woman met the 27-year-old Victor through their common friends. A relationship started, and soon the couple began living together. Yulia was happy. Her son finally had a father.
They had a conflict.
A fight?
It was 2 days before the murder.
Yes, and he grabbed her by the arms. She showed them to me on the eve of her death.
Yulia says, "He was the last person to see me before I died."
Where's Victor now?
Victor isn't contacting anybody because, if I'm not wrong, he has a new relationship now.
It's been less than a fortnight.
And a new relationship so soon?
I need to see him to know if he has anything to do with your daughter's death.
The psychics and the victim's parents go to the place where Yulia and Victor lived. Kayal Alekbarov suddenly stops.
I feel the murderer was standing next to the entrance. The feeling is sharp.
Come on.
This is horrible. Did the man she loved really strangle Yulia? His apartment is in this section of the building.
There's nobody in there. I see the apartment is empty.
The psychics dial Victor, but can't reach him. To have at least some information, the clairvoyants tune in to the energy of Victor's home.
The death energy isn't emanating from this apartment. I see that at the moment of Yulia's death, her man was having fun at a restaurant.
At the moment of Yulia's death, he was at a cafe.
There were a man and a woman sitting next to each other.
His brother and his wife.
That night, the security cameras caught Victor leaving the cafe. Yulia was already dead by then. Before it, Victor didn't go out of the cafe.
Yulia's spirit says, "Had he gone with me, I'd be still alive."
They were together at the cafe, but they quarreled, so she left alone.
She said, "I'm going to Mom's. I'm going to pack my things." But she didn't go to your place. She went here.
My djinns are telling me that a young woman has important information about your daughter.
Yulia has a conversation. 2 female voices. She seems to be talking on the phone. Let's go outside.
A young woman Yulia was talking to on her way here heard what the murderer said.
She was talking on the phone to Marina, her friend.
She told me, "Marina, somebody's following me." She was most probably at the building's front door. I heard a male voice in the distance. It said, "Open up." Then my phone battery died, and I tried to get through to her from my sister's phone, but she was unavailable.
This is why Kayal Alekbarov felt the murderer's energy the moment he approached the building.
He had a knife. He held her from behind and threatened her with the knife. He's whispering to her, "If you scream, I'll slash you."
The feeling brings the psychics to the school, to the spot where Yulia was found, strangled.
I feel it happened here.
This is where my daughter was found.
I'm going to contact your daughter's spirit. I asked her, "What did the man look like? Did you see him?" And she said, "No, he was behind me all the time. He was strangling me."
Did he use something, or did he do it with his bare hands?
Not the hands. She's showing me something made of a twisted piece of cloth. He brought it with him.
So the murderer had planned his crime in advance.
Kayal, look. This is what I see. He does something like this, with the cloth, and she weakens and falls to her knees.
Now, I see the murderer step on your daughter's throat with his foot in a black shoe.
The smell. It stinks. His hands stink.
It smells like cooking oil.
Wait, Yulia is trying to tell me something. Yulia? My God, it's another Yulia. She's also dead, it's her spirit. There's another body, there's another young woman who was strangled to death. She's a little older.
This is my daughter.
Another murdered woman. This is insane. And her name is also Yulia.
Yulia Karakusha was found strangled in a town park early in the morning on the 9th of October. It happened 3 weeks after the first murder was committed. And just as with the first murder, there were no witnesses to the crime.
What's your name?
Inna.
We needed to see the place where the other Yulia died.
It's not far from the first spot. The woman often used this path on her way from home to the bus stop.
Was her body found here?
Over here, yes.
Yulia worked in the neighboring town. It's over 100 kilometers from her town, so she always left home at dawn to catch the first morning bus.
When Inna said goodbye to her daughter that morning, she didn't even think it was the last time she saw her alive.
I offered to walk there with her, but she said, "Mom, please don't, I can make it. Better go back to bed."
The bus stop is not more than 200 meters from her home, but Yulia never reached it.
She's lying on this bench. Yulia. She's lying on her back.
Yes.
What was she covered with?
A large navy blue towel.
Yulia was going to the neighboring town for a few days, so she took a traveling bag with her. The murderer took the towel out of it and used it to cover the victim.
She says, "Mom, you didn't recognize me at first."
An hour and a half later, Yulia's mother was going to the market through the park when she saw an ambulance.
Yes. I thought it was a homeless person sleeping. So I passed by her. I asked them, "Has anyone died?" and the ambulance arrived to take them? But they told me, "No, there's a young woman there." When they mentioned her black hair, I stopped listening and rushed to her. And then I saw it was my Yulia. I pressed her to my chest, but her lips were blue already.
The murderer laid the woman down carefully on the bench and put the bag under her head. Naturally, the passers-by wouldn't pay attention to a drunk lady sleeping. He's very calculating. And before somebody pays attention to her, he would be far away.
I see the number 5. This is the time when her life ended.
Yes.
He put the loop around her throat from behind. And again, I see some twisted piece of cloth. My gins are telling me there was a footprint on your daughter's throat.
He does it like this on her throat.
Yes. There was the mark on her throat that looked like it was crushed with a shoe.
Both women had the prints of a male shoe on their throats.
I again feel the smell of the cooking oil. It's sunflower oil.
Is this the same man?
I feel the same energy of aggression and hatred as at the first sight of the murder.
How do we find the murderer? Neither victim saw his face.
I recall that in the morning, the photo of your town fell off the wall at the hotel. I took a picture of it with my phone.
It turned out it was the photo of the local TV tower. The psychics and the victim's relatives go there.
I feel the murderer was here many times. I see the 5 again.
Could it be the number of a building?
I feel negative energy emanating from it.
5. Here it is, the number 5.
Hello?
But the clairvoyants have been feeling a man all this time. Could it be a mistake?
Elena and I were tuning in to the person who murdered 2 women in your town. The feeling brought us here.
You're going to have
This
a girl.
woman is pregnant. But what relation does she have to the brutal crimes?
It was the double heart, the one Kayal mentioned.
The woman with the double heart has the answer. You're not wearing a wedding ring, but you're married.
Yes.
And during the proposal, you got a strange ring on your finger.
Yes, it was a trinket. A turtle-shaped trinket with a ring.
Who gave you the turtle?
Yes, Vadim.
Was it your husband?
He kneeled and said, "Be my wife." And then he put it on my finger.
Seeing psychics and a crowd of people at the gate, Maria's mother came to support her daughter.
Call your husband.
He's in jail.
What was he arrested for? Was he a suspect in a murder?
An attempted rape.
The proceeding regarding the attempted rape of a minor is currently underway.
She would keep following him everywhere. She was in love with him madly.
What's her name?
Karina.
Karina is a 15-year-old girl who brought the case against Maria's husband. It turned out that Maria knows her, as she and her husband and their friends saved Karina from rapists last year.
We were chilling by the riverside when we saw some guys dragging the girl somewhere. We began shouting, threatening them to call the police. They fled immediately and we took her home. Karina liked Vadim a lot. He's a good man and he's really good looking with those blue eyes. So she began bothering him.
However, Karina told the police quite the opposite.
She claimed he restrained her and threw her on a couch and tried to rape her. Karina claims she scared him with an electric shocker and ran away.
Was your husband ever aggressive?
No, he's a kind, loving, and caring husband.
I see your husband in a cage, but it's a vision from the past, and it's somehow connected with another girl. Was he ever sentenced for murder?
Yes.
What a twist. Does this mean that Vadim has taken someone's life before?
In 2007, Vadim was sentenced to 13 years in prison for the gruesome murder of an underage girl. She was raped and strangled.
10 years ago, Maria and Vadim were at a party with their friends. Among them was the 15-year-old Nadia.
That evening, she was trying to kiss him and she hugged him. When I saw it, I had a quarrel with him. And the next morning, that girl's body was found.
I saw how he murdered that girl. First, she flirted with him, but then she rejected him. And then Vadim got really furious.
She wasn't raped by the man alone, but also with other things. She was bruised all over. Her skin was purple. She was beaten badly. I am convinced he didn't do it. He was slandered because he had no alibi.
As it turned out, Maria and Vadim had been dating since they both were youths. But after the man was imprisoned, Maria didn't see him for a while. Eventually, she decided to pay him a visit. The affection was rekindled once more.
When I saw him, I felt numb all over.
Maria married Vadim straight in the prison. Hence, the turtle-shaped trinket instead of the proper wedding ring.
Vadim spent almost 10 years in jail until he was released on parole. The authorities believed that he deserved amnesty for his good behavior.
There's something in your husband that makes him commit violence. I can feel it. There's something manic in his blood, but you won't admit it.
He committed a murder 10 years ago. Were there any burns on the body?
There were, yes.
There were lots of cigarette burns on her.
Finally, I realized what the words of the girl from my vision. The marks on the strangled women's throats were left by the same man who'd left the burns on his first victim's skin.
Where was your husband on the nights when the two women were murdered?
He spent the first night at home, and the other night, he was at his mother's in the countryside.
The murder was at about midnight. He could have come back home.
It's quite possible that Vadim strangled Yulia Hlazunova at midnight and spent the rest of the night home.
And the second murder was at 5 in the morning.
Vadim's mother said he'd arrived in the morning of the 9th of October. It means he could have easily committed the murder at 5 and an hour later, be at hers, 20 kilometers away from the site.
As a young man, Vadim raped and murdered a girl. 10 years later, he met Karina. She reminded him of his first victim. Just as that girl, she lured him and then rejected him. It was a trigger.
It's a miracle Karina is still alive. I saw that man trying not only rape her, but also strangle her.
I spoke to Karina at the police station. She told me he'd grabbed her by the throat twice. This is what she told me herself.
But neither of the strangled women was raped.
The murderer didn't assault both women to fulfill his desires. He didn't know them and wanted nothing but revenge. He strangled them because he felt fury.
The psychics say that the murderer smelled sunflower oil.
Vadim worked at an oil mill.
So, this is why the psychics felt the smell. After the release from prison, Vadim worked at a factory that made cooking oil.
We're done here and we shared our vision.
Now the authorities have to prove his guilt.
Thank you so much.
Kayal, thank you kindly.
After the psychic's investigation, I found that the law enforcers carried out a number of examinations. The DNA examination showed that both women were indeed strangled by Vadim.
He fully admitted his guilt.
Now the man is facing a sentence for 2 murders, and it's highly unlikely he'll be released under an amnesty this time. It means the cruel maniac will never take anyone else's life, a dreadful murder of an 8-year-old girl. When adults lie, the child's spirit will reveal the truth about the pedophile murderer and his hypocritical accomplice. In this episode, a young woman from a small town in eastern Ukraine contacted the clairvoyants. Katerina is searching for her 8-year-old sister, Valia.
Hello, help me, please. My sister disappeared 12 years ago. She was my only close relative. I loved her so much.
One August evening of 2006, little Valia was playing with her friend in the courtyard of the 5-story building in which their family lived. Later, her friend came back home while Katerina's sister disappeared.
We went to the police after waiting for 3 days and hoping she would probably be back. But Valia never returned.
The police did the search and interrogated people, asking if someone had heard or knew something.
However, they found no clues. Nobody had seen or heard anything suspicious.
After a week of the search for the little Valia Varic, the police informed the family they had presumably found her, dead.
The girl had been strangled, but the family was never asked to identify the body.
They said the body was heavily mutilated. They only showed us her things, and we recognized some fragments of her clothing.
Does this mean you didn't even see your sister's body at the funeral?
No, they forbade us. There was a policeman who accompanied us to make sure we didn't open the casket.
Do you mean you're uncertain if she's dead?
Yes. Here's her final photo.
I had a vision. A man's hands holding a wire, which is tied in a very strange knot. The knot is tied around the little Valia's neck.
As I understand, it won't console you. But you really buried your sister? The child is murdered. She's like crucified and has a crown of thorns on her head.
A shocking revelation. Was this a ritual murder, or what else could the clairvoyant's words mean?
She was found at a military graveyard. They said she'd been strangled with a wreath.
Her murderer was never found.
No.
I'd like to tune into the site where she disappeared.
We took the girl's photo to work with it later that day.
In the morning before the investigation, the psychics started discussing something excitedly.
The murdered Valia was standing in front of me, but she wasn't alone. Next to her was a girl of her age. She was dark-haired and had a dandelion wreath on her head. She was also murdered. They were both strangled.
Could it be some kind of serial child killer?
Meanwhile, the little Valia's friends and family have gathered in the courtyard in which she disappeared.
I saw her say goodbye to a girl, then look at her phone and leave the playground.
Let's summon the girl's spirit. She says, Katunya.
Yes, this is what called me. Forgive me, my dear little sister. I couldn't protect you.
She says it's not your fault.
She sees a car of fair color. Its window is open, and through the window, she sees someone's eyes. The eyes are smiling, and she smiles in response.
Katerina says she also heard about the car from one of the neighbors.
When she looked out of the window, she saw a white car. Valia was getting into it.
There's a man in the car. He gives her a doll, and the girl gets in his car. The man accelerates sharply. He takes her somewhere where there's nobody around. The man tormented the child. It's so terrible. It's not a human, but a beast. Oh, God. She was thrown away like a broken doll.
The body was in a strange pose. It looked like he attempted to rape her, but we were never told if she was raped or not. She would never approach a stranger, even to get a doll.
He looks like someone she used to know, but then didn't see for some time.
Her godfather. He often went to work abroad. Every time he returned, he brought her presents.
Valia's godfather was in another town on the day when she disappeared, but the girl didn't know that.
She took the other man for him.
Because of the doll.
Your sister's murderer is dead. She showed us him. He died in the same car. It looked like it crashed. The last thing he saw in the darkness was your sister's eyes. And then, the brakes squealed and the car crashed into a tree.
But Valia's spirit asked us to help another girl who's being threatened by another man. It's a little girl of about 7 or 8.
We don't have any little girls in our family.
Valia's spirit says you're the mother of the girl we're supposed to save from death.
Do you have a daughter of 7 or 8?
Yes, Amina.
It turned out that this young woman lives with her family in one of the neighboring buildings. She and her mother and aunt were on the way home.
I saw the psychics, and so we decided to come up.
Lisa was planning to contact the psychics anyway because some kind of evil spirit has been haunting her little daughter.
Something is threatening the child. I fear for her.
However, Zhana Shulikova feels that the threat emanates from a human. But the girl's mom claims it's an otherworldly entity.
I saw a notebook, and in it, there was a phrase written in a kid's handwriting, "He's the evil," and there was one word there. Had I deciphered it then, I would have made the mother confess everything.
Could the phrase from the child's notebook mean the otherworldly force? What is going on to the little Amina?
Smoke. Fire.
Did you have a fire at your home?
Yes, we did. My mother woke up and ran to extinguish it.
It turned out that one night, the whirring in the apartment where the family lives burned, and the curtain caught fire quickly. Lisa's mother was extremely fortunate to extinguish the fire, but Lisa believes somebody from the other world stands behind the fire.
I felt something pass by me, but when I turned around, I saw nothing.
And a few days before the fire, Lisa witnessed somebody's ghost next to her daughter.
The silhouette was vague, as if it was made of smoke or mist.
You're not the only one to feel it.
My aunt feels it too.
I felt something, like a hand, running along my hair. I got so scared.
To find out what is threatening Lisa's daughter, I needed to see the girl. Hello? Could you please give me your hands? You can take the child. I see a storeroom. I see a little girl sobbing next to a suitcase. She's holding a doll in her hands. But the doll looks like it's smeared in something red. Like blood. It's not Amina, but energetically, this girl is very much like Amina.
Who could this girl be?
Look over there.
There's a girl sitting on the swing. I saw her in my dream. The dandelion wreath. She was strangled like Valia. She's calling out, "What is this?" It hurts a lot. Dead eyes.
She's lying in a sack. It's so cold around her. She's wearing some dark pants. And the sweater that looks like yours. It's pink. Her feet are bare.
This is my sister.
My daughter.
It's shocking. Jana didn't even know where it had happened.
She was raped, first strangled, and then thrown away.
What was her name?
Ayla. She went to top up my phone and never returned.
That I was absent then.
Back then, Lisa was living in another town. Her mother got ill and stayed home. She needed to top up her mobile phone, and her younger daughter went to do it for her mom.
When she wasn't back in 20 minutes, I went to find her. Having checked everywhere, looking for her, I went to the police.
The officers searched all the neighboring courtyards and playgrounds and asked the little Allah's friends, but they didn't find her anywhere.
She was found 2 days later.
A woman who cleaned the streets found her.
The girl's body was in a trash container not far from the building in which she'd lived. Therefore, the clairvoyants went there.
I didn't want to live without my child. I can't.
I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I wished I'd been killed instead of her.
I love her so much. I always go to her grave to ask for her forgiveness.
The aunt still remembers the last time when she and her niece went for a walk that spring.
She asked me to make a wreath for her. So I made it. And she put it on her head and said, "I'm a princess." And then she hugged me and pressed me so tightly.
Help me find out who did this to her.
And what happened?
She didn't die here.
She was brought and dumped here several hours before she was found.
After the girl was murdered, she was held in some kind of locked-up room, something like a basement.
The examinations revealed that the girl had been murdered the same night that she disappeared. However, it remains a mystery where her body was kept for over a day before it was dumped into the container.
Allah's spirit told me my murderer threatens Amina.
This is some kind of maniac, or I don't know who it could be.
She will show us where she was murdered.
Allah's spirit brought us to the door and pointed at the apartment on the first floor.
I live here.
What do you mean?
I live here with my mom.
Was she murdered at home? There was something wrong about this story.
Do you have any of the girls' possessions?
Yes.
I have a vivid vision. The girl is tormented. She's raped. And she's strangled.
But how could the rapist and murderer enter the apartment in which the girl lived? And who could he be?
I see the hands of a man. It's a strong man. He has dark brown eyes. And you know this man.
Probably.
You know him. Why is the child calling the murderer her father?
I can't believe it at all. He's the only person I trusted in my life.
We warned her 100 times it could end up in a tragedy at home.
It turned out that Allah called her stepfather, her dad.
By the time her daughter was murdered, Victoria had lived with a man named Gadji for 7 years. The woman's first marriage had collapsed after she fell head over heels in love with the handsome Oriental man.
It's such a great love. But he's in prison now.
For what is he there?
This time, for a rape. He raped Allah.
Gadji Muslimov, who used to live with Victoria, is currently serving a sentence for the rape and murder of the 8-year-old Allah. He was sentenced to life in prison.
I don't know who the murderer really was. I can't believe he could do it.
The woman is certain that the man she loves would have never done anything like that. He only confessed everything because of the pressure from the police investigators.
They tortured him so badly that he ended up in the hospital.
Our expert found a police officer who was involved in the investigation. And he clearly remembers Victoria's partner confessed to the terrible crime. This is incredible, but the rapist claimed it was all the girl's fault.
He said the girl entered the kitchen and told him she wanted it, so he had sex with her. And when the girl started screaming, he strangled her, and that was it.
Do you know what I'm standing next to?
The storeroom.
The tears. The dark room and the suitcase. Why is the child in the suitcase?
Tell them. Why aren't you saying anything? You complained to me that he'd tied her up and put her in the suitcase.
Ask Mom, and she'll tell you.
The woman won't tell us. But Lisa says the man really locked his little stepdaughter in the suitcase to punish her for misbehavior.
Whenever she took a piece of bread improperly or peeked into the fridge?
Yes, it did happen, but I put an end to it.
But if Victoria admits the man was cruel to her daughter, why does she refuse to believe he raped and murdered the girl, especially after the experts proved he was apparently guilty?
Muslimov's sperm was found in the girl's vagina. Is there any more sound evidence than that?
I see you behind the bars.
I was imprisoned for this.
She spent 4 years in prison
for the murder of your daughter.
For helping him to take the body out of the apartment. But I didn't do it.
According to Victoria, at the moment of the murder, she was in the apartment. Together they came up with a plan to get rid of the child and keep the crime hidden from everyone. They hid the girl's body and then called the police, telling them that she had disappeared. The next night, they took the body out and dumped it in the trash container in the neighboring courtyard. Both his and her testimonies mention it.
He tortured her. Don't tell me you didn't know anything.
No.
But your murdered daughter says you did.
The girl's aunt only found out about this nightmare after her death. She was told about it in front of the morgue, from where they came to take her niece's body for the funeral.
This woman, a medic, went out and said, "I've seen many things in my life, but I've never seen a child who was raped for 2 or 2.5 years.
Could it be a kind of lesson for me? I don't know.
A big mother of a lesson. The child was murdered."
The only thing the mother could think of after her child was murdered was how to avoid prison for the man she loved. But I can't call this feeling love. This is some kind of perversion.
He's also being released soon because he's got the money and hired expensive lawyers.
It turned out that Victoria's partner submitted an appeal, and his life sentence was canceled.
The case was sent for a review, and the court may announce a new sentence soon. The lawyer is sure that Victoria's man will be released.
My client is not guilty. He will be released in any event.
I asked her what she would do after he's released, and she told me, "It's none of your business who I'll be sleeping with."
I didn't wish to spend even a second more in that woman's company.
What was the doll Allah was holding? It looked like it was smeared in blood.
She received it as a present, and she drew all over it. This is how she expressed her emotions.
And I saw a notebook with an awful phrase in it. "He is the evil." And there was a third word I couldn't make out.
I had a dream. I was holding that notebook in my hands. And it read, "He is the evil. Dad, period. Evil."
She was forced to call him Dad.
The spirit of the raped and murdered girl, through us, wanted to save her niece. Because if that beast is released, little Amina's life will be in danger.
I'm absolutely shocked and stupefied. I'm terrified to even think of what happened to my sister, and I don't want it to happen to my daughter. I'm taking my children and leaving.
You and your family can come and live with me. Oh, you know it well.
After the psychic's investigations, despite all the attempts of the beast's lawyers, the court sentenced him to life in prison. The murderer will never be free again.